and it's actually going to lose the money. It looks like it. Forbes actually did a breakdown onto how it's going to lose the money. And the thing is, Ben, I always know that our market's a laggard anyway to everybody, but why really this divergence between there's such a big difference between the sentiment and how the market's performing? Is there really one answer? Because I read the whole thing and everybody seems to be giving pieces of answers.
Yep.
Is there really one?
I think firstly, to say our market's always been a laggard, it's not really that we lag, it's just we are kind of dampened. When everyone does really well, we do a little well. When everyone does really bad, we do a little bad.
Okay.
But of course this year, emerging markets have been doing really, really well. And even against our own fundamentals, we've had this divergence. Our the GDP numbers have been great, much higher than expectation.
Yeah.
So shouldn't you see an upside when the numbers exceed expectations? Instead, the KLCI has gone in the other direction.
Yeah. So is there real, the chart that we have here, the guys who gained really well at the beginning of the years are now the guys who are also losing? Isn't that a bit strange? Are people just taking profit because they don't believe in next year's story or what?
Yeah. Well, it seems to be a combination of two factors. One is that foreign funds seem to have stopped buying to the Malaysian story around the second half of the year, despite the better and better GDP numbers.
Better ringgit also, actually.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, the local funds seem to be taking profit because these guys are the heavyweights that keep the KLCI up, right? And this could be a temporary thing because they need to lock in some profits before the end of the year so they can pay dividends. But we could see this trend reverse next year when they have to take a position in the market again.
This year, a lot of us go into 2017 thinking, it's almost ending now, right? That it's going to be a very tough year. So because of that, you did see earnings a little bit dampened, or do you see a lot of people holding back? Because they're holding back, they did a lot of impairments, a lot of cleaning house. Is that why earnings are not great and that's where there's a lack of sentiment? Could that probably be it? A lot of them just holding themselves back?
Well, definitely you see some of the heavyweights like Axiata doing a lot of impairments this year. But shouldn't that paint a better picture for next year because they're coming off a low base? That's the first thing. And second thing is, if expectations were low going into 2017, and now you have all these numbers coming out much higher than expectations, that should be the upside, right?
Okay, fine, that makes kind of sense. But maybe they then think that next year is not going to be great too. Maybe they're battening down the hatches for 2 years. Or, for example, these particular stats, right? You see that earnings per share has been moving, this one's been moving. So why are we stuck at this particular band?
Right, so when you talk about expectations for next year, there is this kind of a question. Is it that the market is pricing in accurately, maybe, sort of forecasting that the expectation is that earnings are going to do worse next year and we may see fundamentals sort of come back down? Or is it a case that, the market is just being undervalued now because the sentiment is depressing valuations and the market could move back up to sort of, match the fundamentals?
So what could actually move it up next year, All the people you spoke to, did they give a clear answer or they're hedging?
Yeah. So, well, actually, if you look a bit deeper and you look at the earnings growth, it's not been as quick as GDP growth. So if you take nominal GDP, it's been averaging about 10% this year, year on year. Meanwhile, earnings have been growing at about, 6-ish%. Yeah. So there's still a bit of a gap between, earnings growth and actual GDP growth, nominal GDP growth.
Yeah, okay. So again, is it going to be better next year?
Could be. One of the reasons given for the underperformance was that costs have gone up because of the weak ringgit. And if the ringgit does strengthen, it could be a catalyst. Yeah. Another issue that was touched upon was liquidity. It seems that there's been sort of a credit tightening, this year. Because lending hasn't been as brisk. But as the liquidity situation improves, then we could see that as a stimulus for the not just the broader economy, but also for earnings growth.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.